On Global TV News Express, President Tinubu makes case for Africa-led rating agency. In business, World Trade Director General challenges African leaders on foreign aid boycott. On the foreign scene, UK Prime Minister to put troops on ground in Ukraine. And in sports, Atletico shortlist Ndidi for summer move. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the News Express on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Queen Agaba. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on NigeComSat. You can download the Global TV Nigeria app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. President Bola Tinubu says establishing an African-led credit rating agency will reduce bias and provide more accurate assessment of African economies, promoting fairness in global finance. Represented by Yusuf Tugar, Minister of Foreign Affairs at the 38th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of the African Union Heads of State and Government in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Tinubu says global agencies often rate African economies unfairly, but independent ratings would address the issue and improve credibility. On December 19, 2024, the African Development Bank says African countries, including Nigeria, collaborated to establish a continental credit rating agency to counterbalance Western credit rating agencies' bias against the continent. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has warned the Nigerian Labour Congress against its planned March 1st shutdown to telecommunication services in response to the recent 50% tariff hike. The Private Telecommunications and Communications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria and the Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria similarly pushed back against NLC's planned boycott of telecom services and shutdown of telecom infrastructure, arguing that such actions are misguided and could harm the industry. The Corps, tasked with protecting critical national infrastructure, including telecommunications, expressed concerns over the potential risks the Nigeria Labour Congress action could pose to national security and public safety. The Minister of State for Defense, Dr. Bello Matawalle, has faulted the recent comment by former Secretary to the Governor of the Federation, Dr. Babache Lawal, regarding the 2027 presidential ambitions of President Bola Tinubu. This is contained in a statement issued by the Director of Information and Public Relations of the Ministry of Defense, Henshaw Ogubike, in Abuja. Matawalle emphasized that President Tinubu has made commendable strides in governance and that Lawal and his associates will be surprised by the resounding support the president will receive from the north. Akwa Ibom State Governor Umo Eno has warned government appointees against indiscriminate issuance of press statements without clearance. The governor directed that henceforth all appointees must obtain clearance from the secretary to the government before issuing any information to the press. Eno, who spoke during the worship service held at the Uyo Diocesan headquarters of the Methodist Church Nigeria, Itiam Etoy, emphasized that only the Commissioner of Information and the Chief Press Secretary to the governor are authorized to issue statements. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has uncovered 2 warehouses stocked with expired drugs. This was made known in a statement shared by the agency on X platform. Reports say some suspects managed to remove several cartons of expired but relabeled drugs from security reinforcement before security reinforcement arrived. In a related operation at the Umumeji, Umuochiala, Osisioma local government area, Abia State, the agency seized 140 tons of expired drugs, excluding additional products confiscated from drug shops at the Ariara International Market in the state. Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okpebolo has vowed to petition the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over alleged financial mismanagement during the administration of his predecessor, Godwin Obaseki. Okpebholo made this known while receiving the panel's report, which was submitted to him in Benin City. A report by an administrative panel of inquiry claimed that 96 billion naira was misappropriated during Obaseki's tenure. The State Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress APC Imo State Chapter, Kajitan Duke, a chieftain of the party and former lawmaker representing Ngoro-Okpala State constituency in Imo State, Blyden Amajironwu, and the state legal advisor Uche Nwosu have resigned from the ruling party. Amarachi Ibe has details.
I am grateful for the opportunity to have served the APC Imo State in this capacity, and I appreciate the support, the trust that the party leadership and members have given to me during the tenure. I am proud of my accomplishment in office and what we did together. No regrets. As I have moved on to a new chapter, I am excited to announce to you that I have accepted the offer to become the official spokesperson of the Mazi administration.
I have decided to leave the APC. Let me first express my profound gratitude and commendation to our national leader, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his leadership ingenuity. To our dear Governor, Senator Hope Uzodimma, for his esteemed support and rare opportunities given to me in different capacities. For this, I have decided to partner with the Mazi organization, TMO, an NGO that is deeply committed to humanitarian services and improving the welfare of the people.
The Defense Headquarters has urged Nigerians to disregard what it's called the malicious allegations and support the armed forces efforts to enhance national security and promote the welfare of servicemen and women. Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tuku Gusau, in a statement, faulted the allegations regarding Nigerian military's request for visas to attend the Invictus Games in Vancouver, Canada. He urged Nigerians to support the officers, men and women who sustained various degrees of injuries while protecting the nation. Kwara State Government has commenced the upgrade of 70 primary healthcare facilities across the state's 3 senatorial districts, elevating them to level 2 PHCs at a cost of 5 billion naira. Executive Secretary of the Kwara State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Professor Nusirat Elelu, disclosed this during the contract signing ceremony at the agency's headquarters in Ilorin. The Nigerian Police Force says it has neutralized 7 terrorists and recovered 23 firearms along with assorted ammunition in recent operations across the country. In a statement issued by the Force Public Relations Officer ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, says the operations were part of efforts to dismantle criminal networks and enhance internal security. Police operatives in Kebbi State trailed the suspects to Tundafarai Forest in the Dakingari axis, where they engaged the kidnappers in a gun duel, killing 4 of them and arresting 1 with fatal injuries. Students from no fewer than 23 public universities and polytechnics have lamented the delayed disbursement of their approved institutional loans from the Nigerian Education Loan Fund as deadlines for tuition payment and examinations draw near. President Bola Tinubu signed the Student Loan Act into law on April 3, 2024 to provide sustainable higher education funding for Nigerian students. However, in response to the fund's verified post on X, students from several institutions, including the University of Nigeria Nsukka, Obafemi Awolowo University, Federal University Lokoja, Ladoke Akintola University, and others in northern Nigeria, expressed frustration over the alleged non-disbursement of the approved loans. The Tertiary Education Trust Medical Simulation Committee has presented its report at the Tertiary Education Trust Fund headquarters in Abuja. Chairman of the committee, Professor Wale Sulaiman, while presenting the report, says medical simulation centers are virtually non-existent in Nigeria. Ramsey Enokagbo was at the event for Global Television.
The chairman of the committee, Professor Wale Suleiman, and his team came up with some findings in their report, one of which noted that there is an urgent need for all healthcare regulatory bodies in Nigeria to incorporate medical simulation in the education's curriculum of their trainees. He stated that there is need to accelerate the transition to integrated training curriculum in all healthcare institutions. The committee, in its findings, said the newly established Federal University of Health Sciences are uniquely positioned to incorporate innovative education and training modules in their curriculum, such as medical simulation.
There's an urgent need for healthcare regulatory bodies to incorporate and accept medical simulation training as a critical component of continuing medical education and proficiency training. There's a need to accelerate the transition to integrated training curriculum in healthcare in all healthcare institutions. The newly established Federal University of Health Sciences are uniquely positioned to incorporate innovative education and training modules in their curriculum, such as medical simulation. The newly established Federal University of Health Sciences represents the best opportunity for incorporation of medical simulation in the education and training of new generation, emphasis on new generation of Nigerian healthcare workers that can compete on the world stage. An example is that worldwide now nobody uses, most developed world don't use cadavers anymore. They've transitioned to computer-based training, teaching in anatomy and physiology. So that's the one big example that, you know.
In addition to the findings, the committee came up with the recommendation that will facilitate the implementation of their report, such as the establishment of simulation centers across Nigeria, medical simulation prototype, programs and equipment in the medical simulation centers, and funding mechanisms. Suleiman, in his final remarks and future direction, emphasized that one of the ways Nigeria healthcare can leapfrog the 21st century health system is through major investment in education and training of more healthcare workers that can compete on the world stage.
I believe strongly that one of the ways Nigeria healthcare may leapfrog into the 21st century is through major investment in education and training of future healthcare workers. People that can actually compete on the world stage. We're doing very well worldwide, but I think the way to get us there is through this investment in innovation. It's very critical. We can't continue to do the same way of training and expect that we would be able to compete. The second one is digital healthcare, which is telemedicine and remote patient care. Remote patient care is another element of healthcare innovation that would significantly improve access. If you're a great doctor and people can't see you, what's the point? So it's how do you now, for instance, even in my clinic in Lagos, 20% of
the chairman, Board of Trustee, Right Honorable Bello Masari, commended the committee for a job well done.
They have done and what they have presented. And I think, like he rightly said, this is the future, and we must embrace future as education integration organization. They say the future belongs to those who, I can say, are prepared. And how do we get prepared? It's through education.
At the turn of the 21st century, it has become increasingly critical to train young Nigerians to become familiar with technological innovations. Ramsey Enokagbo reporting for Global Television.
You're watching the live broadcast of the News Express on Global Television, coming to you from the nation's capital, Abuja. When News Express returns, World Trade Director General challenges African leaders on foreign aid boycott. We'll bring you details of this as well as business and sports stories right after the break. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. In business, the Director General of World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has called on African leaders to stop relying on foreign aid and focus on mobilizing domestic resources to attract investments and drive economic growth. Okonjo-Iweala emphasized that African leaders need a mindset shift, adding the continent is blessed with vast untapped financial and natural resources that could drive sustainable development. While speaking on the sidelines of the African Union meeting in Ethiopia, the World Trade Organization chief advised that foreign aid should be considered a thing of the past. On the foreign scene, few heads of diplomacy can boast the longevity of Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Djibouti's foreign minister since 2005, who has been elected to head the African Union's Executive Commission. Yusuf won the required support of two-thirds of the region's leaders in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, to secure the post representing some 1.5 billion Africans across the continent. The 59-year-old was deemed an outside shot against veteran Kenyan politician Raila Odinga, but observers have praised the career diplomat's low-key campaign to succeed Chadian Musa Faki Mahamat and head the Pan-African Bloc. Detained Ugandan opposition figure Kizza Besigye, on hunger strike for a week, has been returned to prison after being in a health clinic overnight. The 68-year-old was rushed to a private medical facility in a prison ambulance as his health was deteriorating. His lawyer, Arias Lukwago, made this known on Facebook. Besigye was charged in the military court with illegal possession of firearm threatening national security, as well as treachery, which carries the death sentence. He denied the accusations. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer says he's ready and willing to put UK troops on the ground in Ukraine to help guarantee its security as part of a peace deal. The UK Prime Minister said securing a lasting peace in Ukraine is essential to deter Putin from further aggression in the future. Ahead of an emergency summit, the European leaders in Paris on Monday, Sir Keir says the UK is prepared to contribute to security guarantees to Ukraine by putting its own troops on the ground if necessary. Hamas has freed 3 Israeli hostages in exchange for the release of Palestinian prisoners in the latest swap under the ceasefire agreed by Israel and the armed group last month. The 3 hostages handed over on Saturday are American-Israeli Sagui Dekelshen, who is 36, Argentinian-Israeli Yehan, and Russian-Israeli Alexander Trofanov. In return, 369 Palestinians held in Israeli jails were released. In sports, Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola believes his team only have, in his words, a 1% chance of overcoming Real Madrid in the Champions League clash. City were defeated 3-2 at home in the first leg of their playoff clash last week, despite leading 2-1 with just 4 minutes left in the time. Guardiola stated that the margin to win at the Bernabeu from that position, the percentage to go through, will arrive at 1% or will be minimal. Nigeria and Leicester City midfielder Wilfred Ndidi have reportedly been added to the midfield shortlist of Spanish La Liga side Atletico Madrid as they look to sign a new defensive midfielder in the summer. Having failed to address the position last summer, the Rojiblancos have begun the hunt for a player to fill the void in their team, with the Nigerian emerging as a potential signee. The fact that club captain Koke Resorekon is coming towards the end of his career, coupled with the expected departure of Thomas Lemmer, means that it is important for a pivot to arrive at the Metropolitano before the start of the 2025 and 2026 season. To end the News Express on Global Television, here's a quick look at some of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu says establishing an African-led credit rating agency will reduce bias and provide more accurate assessments of African economies, promoting fairness in global finance. In business, the Director General of World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has called on African leaders to stop relying on foreign aid and focus on mobilizing domestic resources and attract investment and drive economic growth. On the foreign scene, British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer says he is ready and willing to put UK troops on the ground in Ukraine to help guarantee its security as part of a peace deal. And in sports, we told you Nigeria and Leicester City midfielder Wilfred Ndidi has reportedly been added to the midfield shortlist of Spanish La Liga side Atletico Madrid as they look to sign a new defensive midfielder in the summer. That's it on Global Television News Express. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365, on StarTimes channel 276, and free to air on NIGECOMSAT. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. Don't forget, you can also download the Global TV app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.